started composing music at the age of 68. And many people ask me, how did I start writing music at 68 years old? What made me start? And the answer is really a question of the mechanics of composing, really. I have a sort of a musical background. I don't have a formal musical education, but I never learned to play the piano, a stepping stone to composition. I learned the recorder when I was 6 years old, like most people of my generation in England. And at high school, I took up the saxophone, played in the school band. I played in a little rock and roll band, a local rock and roll band, a modest affair. At university, I played the folk guitar, doing some finger picking. So I knew the basics of music and harmony. And in fact, I even started trying to write some music about 50 years ago. In fact, I found it here. It's a piece called Decomposition, if you can believe it, which I wrote in Paris in 1976. There were a couple of problems. The first problem was writing it out. I don't have perfect pitch. So I wrote it out. I did some doodling on the recorder, and then I wrote out a line. And then I thought of something that would go nicely with that and wrote out the next line. But then I had the problem of what it would sound like together. I didn't have any sophisticated recording equipment as there is available today. And I didn't have any musical friends that could play it for me or would have the patience to play it for me, and then for me to change things and for them to play it again when I saw how it was going, and then maybe change it again. And there was also the physical aspect of writing the music, that if you wanted to change something, it very quickly became a mess, quite simply a mess. And so in the end, I gave it up. And after many years of traveling around the world, selling flat roof waterproofing and other amazing things, I started playing in duets with another recorder player. And I really enjoyed that. And it was on the occasion of a certain trio that I had discovered this music by Tillman Susato, called De Mon Malheur. And a really nice piece of music with two melodies that play against each other, something which fascinates me. The problem was that the bass line was written in the viola clef, which I couldn't sight read. And so the easiest thing would be to transcribe it into the treble clef, the ordinary treble clef. So I set about doing that, and I wrote out the three pieces neat and tidy, taking time to use a ruler for the lines, making sure I didn't make any mistakes, and something which looked very nice. I presented this to our little trio, and the singer looked at it, Heidi, she looked at it and said, she needed it a note higher. She needed a note higher for it to be comfortable. And she must have seen my face. She must have seen the blood drain from my face, because I had spent, I don't know, an hour or something writing all this music out, maybe more. So she said, Graham, it's 2015. Do it on your computer. Download some software and do it on your computer. So I went home and I thought, she's right. I should look on the computer, see if there's some kind of program that I can do this on. I had no idea if there was. And so I brought up Google and typed in music writing software. And the first website to pop up was musescore.org. www.musescore.org. And it was apparently a free website and allowed you to write music on the computer. So I clicked on it, and there was a series of videos I saw that explained what the program did and things like this. So I started watching a few of these videos, and the more I watched, the more I thought, whoa, this is an interesting program. Wow, this really does exactly what I needed to do. And so after studying a bit of the basics of the program, not very complicated really, I opened up a file, chose my instruments, a soprano voice and a alto recorder and a tenor recorder, and started writing in the music. There's no shortcut. You have to put in every single note, every single rest, and you have to put in the length of the note, etc., etc. But the notes you put in A, B, C, D, E are A, B, C, D, E on the music scale, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are the length of the note. And so I started putting in the music, going a little faster as I got used to what I was doing. And then at the end of the music, when I had it all there, transcribed as it was in the book of music that I had, I then was able to select all, and then I could transpose the whole piece of music with a couple of clicks to whatever key I wanted it in. And so that was absolutely fantastic. And then not only did it do that, but I was then able to export what I'd done in a PDF, in a file of perfectly a good-looking music that looks like it had been bought in a shop. Not only that, I was able to have the whole score, but I was able to also print out the individual parts. And if you change, back in the computer, if you change something on one of the parts of the main score, it automatically changed the other parts. So you didn't have to worry whether one part was getting out of sync with the others. Absolutely fantastic. So I took it to our trio and we ended up playing it. And so I thought I'd try something else. So I had some other songs that were in these, some other tunes that were in these books. And I discovered that the beauty of this program was not only did it allow you to write the music, but you could hear it as you wrote it. The keyboard of the laptop became like an enormous orchestral organ. And you could play the bassoon, you could play the violin, you could play the cello, you could play the trumpets. The sounds that were generated were also not a tinny synthesizer sounds like they used to be in the old days. No. This sounds like a bassoon. The bassoon sounds like a bassoon. The reason for this is that it is a bassoon, that you're using sound bites of the actual instrument being played. And so it sounds very, very, very realistic. So I started writing out some other things, and I was able to listen to it to hear what it sounded like after I finished it, to see if it sounded a good piece of music or not. You're able to adjust the speed of the music. You're able to adjust the volume of the various parts. So this was extremely fascinating and fun. It was great fun doing this and discovering what these pieces actually sounded like before you actually went to play them. And then, as it was near Christmas time, I thought we should do some Christmas carols. But I only had a couple of books where the Christmas carols were, there was the melody and there was sort of an argument. And I thought, well, maybe I can write an accompaniment. And for our trio, we can do this. And one tune that I really love is God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. God rest ye merry gentlemen. Forgive my singing. I shouldn't sing. Okay, God rest ye merry gentlemen. And do it. And then I thought maybe I'd also do some variations. Make it interesting. Because there's one variation that I've always liked. I used to sometimes play it on my guitar, one of the few things I could pick out on the guitar. Was a syncopation of God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. In 6/8 time. God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay, which is a variation of the original theme. And so I started writing this, and I wrote in some accompaniment in the other two voices, and it was okay. And then at one point I thought, well, wonder what it sounds like. Since there was a menu of all these other instruments, I thought, what would these variations on God Rest You Merry Gentlemen sound like on the trumpets, for example? Because I could change what I'd written into trumpets. And so I did that. And that was quite interesting. It's quite interesting. I thought, oh, that's interesting. Then I thought, I wonder what it sounds like. Wonder what it would sound like being played on the organ, which is sort of a Christmas church kind of thing. And so I looked at the menu, and there are various kinds of organs. There was a jazz organ. There's other organs I've never heard of, and there was a church organ, a big church pipe organ. And so I changed the voices into that. And I was using headphones. Because the sound of the laptop speakers wasn't particularly good. But through the headphones, it sounded pretty good. And so I played this back as though it were an organ. And I was flabbergasted. I was electrified. It was absolutely stunning. At least for me, I thought this was absolutely amazing. This really sounded like an organ. And it not only sounded like an organ, it sounded fantastic. It sounded like a cathedral organ, and it sounded absolutely amazing. And so I thought, wow, is that good? And these were variations that I had written myself. I I'd actually written these variations, and it sounded like the real thing. And so I then, as it was an organ, I then started playing around with the notes to exploit the sound of the organ to make it more organy and less recordery. And then, after I was finished, I was just so excited. I had goosebumps. It was so good. And so I rushed downstairs from my library, and I told my wife, listen to this, you've got to listen to this. And so I plugged my laptop into the TV, because that was the only sound system I was able to use down there. And so I plugged it in and I pressed the start button. And I listened to this in disbelief, in utter disbelief. It was difficult to believe that I had written this. It actually sounded so, wow, like somebody serious had written it. Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And so that was how I started writing music. And then I found that with my almost 60 years of listening to classical music, of playing music, of being drowned in the ambient sounds of music as we all are, I found that things that I just wanted to start playing around with, certain sounds of the flute, of the oboe, of the bassoon, of the cello. I started writing a string trio. I started writing music with trombones and a cello and bassoons and absolutely lost in the potential of this. And really the key that unlocked the world of composition for me was this program. Or perhaps the door was this program. And the key was my years of musical experience. Yeah, and I find my key suddenly found a lock to open, musescore.org. So my heartfelt goes out to the team of people that wrote the software and are continuing to write it and update it. It changed my life. It changed my life. For the first 68 years of my life, my greatest hobby was reading. And since then, I have read a lot less because I'm spending more and more of my time composing. Wonderful, wonderful. So thanks for listening.